Wishing you all a green morning, green afternoon, and green evening wherever you are world over. Of course, it's going to be the lunch time or maybe post lunch as far as Australia and New Zealand is concerned. People are heading for the lunch in Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines. Let's move to the Central Asia. We get a lot of people from Doha, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Dubai, Sharjah, Abu Dhabi. Great welcome, hearty welcome. Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, and then, of course, other places. We are looking forward to a peace over there because tourism, travel, all that is a peace activity when there's a total peace. You try and tell someone that there's a little disturbance and I give you a business class ticket. Please travel and have a visit over there. Would people travel? So that's a concern. That's a challenge which we got to take on. People are just getting up in the European part. It's an early morning, and some parts, some people with whom I just had a chat early in the morning, and they're going for a morning jog. There's a skipping sing also. Can you imagine? There's a name of a person, Skipping Singh. His real name, I also got to find out. He's 74 years old. He does 1,000 skippings early in the morning on a skipping rope just to keep himself agile, happy, energetic, vibrant, and whatsoever you can think of. So, ladies and gentlemen, we also got to get energetic. हमारे सुंदर भारत में, प्यारे भारत में, wherever you are in the different parts of India and the neighboring South Asia, we have got almost a half an hour or an hour or maybe 1 hour differences somewhere. So it's going to be a lunch time and you must have enjoyed your breakfast in the morning. Now we are going to take you to the world of fantasy because last 50 years of my life at the age of 72, when I look back with 119 countries on my passport, and then I say, what exactly is travel? What is tourism? What's hospitality? What's airline? What's holiday? What's leisure? What's travel? Why to travel? For whom to travel? And what exactly travel gives you? What is being done by the World Tourism Organization or WTT, WTCC, or for that matter, even ASTA, or why do we go and join the World Travel Mart or International Travel Boards or a PATA conference or various other organizations? FHRAI doing their own job, Federation of Hotel and Restaurant Association of India, IOTO, domestic tour operators, adventure tour operators, ecotourism operators, holiday and leisure tourism operators, inbound tourism operators, outbound tourism operators. And while being with the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, when way back in 1988, I drafted first MBA Tourism for India and set up the first National Institute for Tourism for the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. With my colleagues, when I look back, today my PhD hold no relevance, no relevance. Because if you have done your PhD in early part of 80s, 80, 90, 2000, and then you have come to 2021, 40 years back, what you have done, does it hold any relevance today? Or does travel give you only amusement or experience? What do we get it from the life? And particularly, the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of India to make India self-reliant, Atmanirbhar Bharat, 5 trillion economy, it, it can become 5 trillion economy only and only if the women participate actively in all fields of life. They got to be empowered, they got to be encouraged, they got to be inspired, and they got to be given a hand holding. And we got to take a lot of their views and inspiration from them also. All the men folk this morning, you got to realize that your strength is because the lady is just behind you and she's giving you that strength. And this morning, our strength comes from two of the most powerful ladies. And when we are going to talk about travel for women empowerment, and what exactly is women empowerment, this webinar series, which is with the efforts of Colonel Manon, our advisor for the entire southern part of India, my deep gratitude and thanks to him. for bringing two of the distinguished speakers this morning. Madam Prachi Thakur, diversity strategist and trainer, World Women Tourism. That's the organization. She told me it's based out of Singapore. She's here in India. Dr. Anita Sharma, she's the founder, Drive on My Own and Inkpothub. We would like to listen to both the ladies, but before we get into those deliberations, discussions, and where they tell about their profile, let me share little slides with you. 1993, when I was leaving Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, that time I realized three things. India needs medical tourism, India needs cinematic tourism, and India needs a hand holding of non-resident Indian diaspora. Because a lot of people used to come to us in the Ministry of Tourism in the Transport Bhavan on the first floor, as well as the IITTM, Indian Institute of Travel and Tourism Management, which was established, that why don't we have a platform in India where the people, those who have gone abroad from India, they should be coming out with their voice, with their ideas, with their passion, and they can do something for India. So, ladies and gentlemen, in 1994, there was a birth, and that was the first confluence of the non-resident Indian. And in 2003, when we met then the Honorable Prime Minister of India, and that time he had a vision and he had a wonderful ideas. Late Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, he told, why not we should go with the idea Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. And that was the birth. During these challenging times, during this pandemic, when we are having so many challenges, and doctors, nurses, paramedical people, they are doing great job as far as the health sector ecosystem is concerned. From health, we are coming to the wellness also. And our deep, particularly, we pay our homage to all the departed souls. We have lost in India approximately 700 plus doctors during this COVID. And when I spoke to UNESCO and I discussed with him in Paris, UNESCO director, he told 1.65 billion children are away from schools, colleges, universities, and institutions. So our chamber, the core team, the governing body, and everybody, because we are a link between India and about 149 countries abroad, where we have got 31 million Indians overseas. And every year, ladies and gentlemen, you enjoy in month of January, Pravasi Bharati Divas under Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. So we took a pledge, why not we should focus on education, because health is being taken care of by that side experts. And there the journey started, whether teachers or counselors or headmasters or directors or vice chancellors, or most important is the technocrats, all of them together making education relevant. Colonel Casey Menon, we all have come together a long way. Our chamber is going to complete soon 1100 webinars. 1100 webinars during this pandemic. We are the first global organization which has conducted 1000 plus webinar on 21st of June on the World Health, that's the International Day of Yoga. And now we are moving ahead, and the pledge what we have taken, we are developing the document now, the next year's celebrations, 75 years of India's independence for tourism. And then we are also coming out with the action plan and a strategy in 2047, how India would look like as far as the travel and tourism industry is concerned. Now, during this pandemic, Colonel Casey Menon had been getting a lot of women together, a lot of girls together from schools, colleges, institutions, teachers, principals. And we have been asking only 5 questions. What's the purpose and relevance of education today? What's the role of technology in today's education? What does today's youth want? How to create your dream career? And what exactly is women empowerment? So teacher and youth empowerment we have taken the agenda last year as well as this year. This is the complete canvas what you talk about. We organize almost 28 webinars every week, and most of the webinars are with the non-resident Indians from abroad. Today at 7 p.m., we have to take care of your health also. There's going to be a 64th webinar. That's a weekly webinar, Ayurveda for global wellness and healthy diet. Today is going to be the fourth part. That's at 7 p.m. And thereafter, we will take you to the dream project of Honorable Prime Minister to the northeast part of India, all the 8 states together, and that is Ashtalakshmi. When you talk about Tripura, Manipur, Meghalaya, Assam, Arunachal, Nagaland, and Mizoram, and Sikkim, all the 8 beautiful states. We are going to talk about northeast part of India this evening at 8 p.m. And our focus is going to be media entertainment industry, where we will talk about radio, television, theater, music, films, animation, and we will have Mr. Nagatam with me in the evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are the findings of our chamber? During this pandemic, we have come to know you have to understand that B2B is no more business to business. It's back to basics of life. Basic food, basic health, basic education. Earn and learn strategy you got to adopt like a Western culture, sustainable development. During this pandemic, from the world over, we have been getting all the stakeholders directly and indirectly associated with the education and skills ecosystem from world over with a focus on service industry. So this morning at 12 minutes past 11 o'clock, I drop the curtains and join me in extending a very warm welcome to two distinguished ladies. One is Prachi Thakur and Dr. Anita Sharma ji. We extend them a very warm welcome. It's a pleasure to have both of them. Thank you very much for joining. Is the efforts of Colonel Manon. The credit goes to him and credit goes to our distinguished participants. So आज सैटरडे है तो आज हमने नीला वस्त्र पहना है. I never knew that Prachi is also going to wear something blue, and we are going to pay our respects to Shani Devta so that he doesn't get annoyed with us, and he should be happy about everything. So Anita ji, you got to think about it, because in tourism the colors also play very important role. That's the way we got to be taken care of. Okay. So while extending a very warm welcome to both of you, let's start and let's set the context today. Both of you, anybody can take a lead, anybody can start. Initial round, introduce yourself. Where are you? Which city you are in? What are you doing? What exactly is your work? What do you enjoy? What is your passion? And then I'll come on to travel and tourism as a second part of it. First is, the most important thing is, because अगर नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी का आपको याद हो तो वहां 10,000 बच्चे थे और 2,000 आचार्य थे, और जब वहां पर पहला इंटरव्यू होता था तो वो दरबान लेते थे, और तो दरबान ने स्कॉलरशिप से पहले कहा अपने बारे में बताइए आप कौन हैं, तो उसने कहा गुरुदेव मैं यहाँ यही तो जानने आया हूँ कि मैं कौन हूँ. तो दिस मॉर्निंग I would like to know both of you, who are you? That's the way we would like to start, and a hearty welcome to both of you. Pleasure to have both of you. And I would request anybody can take a lead, anybody can start. Introduce yourself 4 to 5 minutes, and then we will go to the next round.
Prachi, would you like to start?
No, Anita, please go ahead.
All right. So
that's a true tourism. That's a true tourism. Give the space to other. Wow, that's great. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so thank you. Alphabetically, I take this opportunity. My name starts with A, so I have always been, advantageous or disadvantageous because of my name, which starts with A. So I am very much thankful to the community of travel and tourism, all those people who are into it. I am very thankful to Dr. Gulshan and Colonel Menon and my co-panelist Prachi, because we are going to speak around something which is very interesting, and this is very close to our hearts. And now I'm moving to tell you about who am I and what I do. So with this Darban kind of thing, I take this opportunity to speak about myself and why I am wearing blue, why I am not wearing blue actually, because white color is can take any other color. So I take this opportunity to say that I am ready to adapt, accept, anything and everything. So I am Dr. Anita Sharma. I am called as, popularly called as the girl on four wheels, which reflects that I'm extremely passionate about driving, and I drive four wheelers. So that's the quote, alternate identification which I have, that if somebody calls Anita Sharma, it means that she is a very passionate girl about driving. So when I was just 6 months old, I got struck to polio. I am a person with a disability. My waist down is paralysis and paralyzed, and I'm kind of okay with the situation, and learned over a period of time that how to adapt and move ahead in life with the kind of conditions I have. With passing time, my parents decided that I should study more and more. I was not a good student, but they made me study a lot. It means that ultimately I end up having my PhD, and went to the India's best institute to finish it off. Then I worked as a professor. I have a 16 years of teaching experience. I'm still teaching, and I quit my job to start my companies. I used to teach entrepreneurship, and then I quit my job. So I am now running two companies. One is Inkpothub. So Inkpothub is a company which talks about celebration of a scholar's life. And then the second company is called as Drive on My Own, wherein which is actually a true reflection of what I am and who I am. I train people with disabilities how to drive a car, and this is something which came after a detailed understanding about the scenario in India, that there is no driving school for people with disabilities. And because I'm very passionate about driving, and I understand the importance of driving, and the advantage of it, like becoming independent, free from any kind of mobility dependence on anyone. So I started this platform. We have a YouTube channel wherein we talk about rules, regulations, concessions, any other related aspect of car buying and training. So that's what we do. And um, in terms of travel and tourism, I since my father was working with a bank, so we always got this opportunity to travel to different places because of the leave travel concession he used to get. So I have traveled to more than, say, 20 states in India. Very limited international experience of 10 countries. So some of them I traveled all alone, and yes, so far it was a very fascinating experience, and I'm very excited about this talk. And Prachi, now it's your turn.
Thank you so much. I was literally smiling when you mentioned that you have limited international experience of 10 countries. But yeah, I'll begin on that happy note. So everyone listening here and joining here on our various links we have shared on our social media, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. My name is Prachi, and I am a diversity strategist, trainer, and researcher in the space of travel and tourism. As Anita said, travel and tourism is something very close to our heart. So it also forms an identity. It also forms part of my identity. I identify as a solo female traveler, and majority of my research and training activities revolve around making travel and tourism industry hospitable and more comfortable for women who travel alone. So that is what my introduction is. And in terms of traveling, I have visited and traveled through 22 states of India, along with incomparable just one international experience I have had. That too also I went for a conference. But yes, I have traveled. Majority of my travels have been solo, and therefore a lot of my research and a lot of my training revolves around stems from my own experiences of traveling with tattoos and piercings, which I have, but not is visible on this screen. But the experiences I've had due to these banal differences, which is very personal to me, led me to think and talk to other women who had more visible differences, as in who don't belong to this country, or whose facial features doesn't look like the majority. And I ended up discovering that travel industry is not very hospitable. The hospitality industry, as well as the tourism industry, is not very hospitable to women who are traveling alone, let alone be women with differences. And that's where my quest began to provide a solution and to answer some questions for myself and for others on how can we make travel more inclusive and how can we make hospitality industry more inclusive for women. So that is what I am, that is who I am, and that is what I'm planning to do for whole of my career, to answer these questions of how we can take one more step towards inclusion. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you very much to introduce both of you. You have given the little profile so that now everybody is very clear about it, whom we are with and whom we are with talking. And Dr. Anita ji, you have used a wonderful two words, adapt and accept. That is something very nice. And you had been very smart to use a word that white can absorb any color. Yes, we totally agree. We totally agree on that. And one is on 20 states and one is on 22 states. So we all will take advice of the Honorable Prime Minister that everybody should travel at least 15 places before December 2022. So why not to travel some more places within India, and we all should see what all is available. Great. Now coming to from Anita ji to Prachi, where she has made a very strong and a very bold statement that both travel and tourism and hospitality industry are not very kind, particularly to the women folk. So we will come to that little later. Before that, I would like to just ask both of you, what challenges are you experiencing in the last 1.5 year, right from the time the pandemic has come? Because a lot of ladies have lost their jobs and a lot of people have lost their jobs. And particularly because I breathe tourism, I think tourism, I eat tourism, I sleep tourism, I get up tourism, I walk tourism, I talk tourism. Because right from my childhood, I'm the first Indian Army officer to have moved on deputation to the Ministry of Tourism when nobody was thinking in this country about tourism. And that is the time when I did my master's and PhD because I didn't want to study. And I told them, is there any subject where you have not to study? They told there's one subject that's called tourism. I said, that's lovely. I would like to do over there. And that is the concept it used to be way back in 1980 and 81 and 82, because it was considered as a luxury. It was taken as a luxury that only if you're privileged, then only you will travel. Otherwise, you will be just going to the nearby places and all that and everything. So let's get to the brass tracks now. Anita ji, how do you feel right from 25th of March 2020, when the lockdown has come, and particularly with our female folk, with our girl child, with our ladies and everybody, I'm pretty sure you must be experiencing, because मैं आपको दोनों को हार्ट अटैक वाली फिगर नहीं देना चाहता, because there are more than 5 crore people, those are directly indirectly associated with tourism. And when I talk about travel agents, tour operator, tourist transporter, restaurant, tuck shops, anything with the eatables, those are dependent or those were dependent. And government has not given enough of room or a space or a pace or a priority to this particular sector. When even I talk about hand holding of micro, small and medium enterprise, तो मुझे women folk का challenge आप बताइए अनीता जी कि how have you felt before we come to Prachi? Kindly do let me know, how do you feel, ma'am, about particularly the women folk and particularly our area, and particularly you have mentioned about girl on four wheels also. We will name you from there. We are very happy about it because you being on four wheels, nothing like that. Great. तो आप हमको बताइए कि travel and tourism ka, because today's topic is a little bit surrounded by that only. So how do you look at it? What challenges the female folk and girl child and women are facing, particularly with regard to the jobs and particularly with regard to this industry, those who are working over there?
Thank you, sir. This is a very, very interesting and a very deep question because we all have been experiencing Corona for last 1.5 years. And Corona is gender neutral because Corona is very smart. It doesn't identify about male or female, so it can impact anyone. Considering about job loss and those situations, and it's very difficult at this moment, because when we see a lot of people are losing their jobs, and yes, you rightly mentioned about all these aspects, but the situation around travel, tourism, and industry around it, the entire industry is really very badly affected, because it is dependent on when people move from one place to another place, enjoy places and experiences. They have experiences. It has really impacted very badly. I'm not in a very great situation to explain to you in a like the entire industry how it has impacted, but then I have few friends who are working in travel and tourism industry, and they always say to me that travel has gone and it will come back only after 2023, 24, in a nice, in a better way, wherein everyone will have a confidence back to travel and stay at different locations and places, just because they think that right now this is not a very good time to travel. Considering me, I'll also talk about very specific segment wherein from where I belong to as well. So this segment is especially about people with disability. I'll let a little bit, talk about that segment as well. We, as a person with a disability, we have hardly gotten any chance to travel, and Corona has really impacted us because of our comorbid conditions and vulnerability around it. So we are not even going out, and we are not stepping out of our homes, leave aside travel. So having this 1.5 years of experience at home has actually impacted our health, the mental health, and the challenges of not speaking with people, not meeting them. So that's such kind of challenges I have, and a lot of people around me who are different, having a different kind of disabilities. We all have experienced really a troublesome time in the past 1.5 years, and I'm also very sure of that. This is not going to change very soon. I did travel in the month of April, the first week of April. I traveled in 2021. I traveled, but then the kind of mindset in these times I developed, I was very much fearful during traveling. Otherwise, I always love. I was fearful because wherever I'm going to stay during that travel, what if I uh, get COVID during this particular 4 or 5 days of my travel, and I have elderly parents at home. So a lot of things surrounds, and a lot of challenges are there around traveling now, considering this job loss. And yes, this is not only in the tourism industry, but it has impacted really very bad on this industry. But then I think right now I'm not in a better situation to explain it to you, but then only about my personal experiences, that in 1.5 years I traveled to Chandigarh from Jaipur, just one trip, nowhere else. So that was a kind of it's like beyond my personality, beyond my identity. I was not able to travel in the past 1.5 years. So that's my experience of 1.5 years.
Jaipur to Chandigarh or Chandigarh to Jaipur?
Jaipur to Chandigarh and Chandigarh to back to Jaipur. I am from
Ah,
Jaipur.
how did you know that your elder brother stays at Chandigarh, Major Dr. Gulshan Sharma?
Is it?
Oh, I
Wow.
didn't know. Okay.
So
And
next time I am going to
how,
come to meet you.
how was it that you had come to know that my in-laws are in Jaipur? That's not fair. You have come to know all my secrets. That's not correct, ma'am.
That's amazing then, sir.
So, as an elder brother, I send you my blessings right over here. And from today onward, never ever use a word disabled. Always say specially abled. You are specially abled. My wife, she was teaching specially abled children with Nargis, when she developed the cancer, and Sunil Dachi was taking care of her. She had set up number of institution for specially abled children. And when my wife left that job, her eldest sister took up that job as a family. And now my daughter-in-law, She's also from Dubai and dealing with the specially able children. So the thing is, and where I am today and this particular chamber, 1994, the first girl who worked with me as a program officer, as a manager, who built this entire, her son is specially abled. And I'm committed to her as a father. I told we will always do special programs because these children need so much. They are such a wonderful kids. They can come into so many fields. And when you talk about girl on four wheels, as the elder brother, I send my blessings to you that in month of April, you drove all the way from Jaipur to Chandigarh and back. Hats off to you. That's a great courage. And that's something is very, very encouraging and inspirational. But please do take precautions when you travel, your mask, your personal hygiene and everything and all. Don't trust anything. Travel safely, and that's what is travel and tourism. Wonderful input from your side. Let me just come to um Prachi, who is doing research related to, are you doing research related to tourism?
Yes, my
Okay, great.
PhD, like my research is on solo female traveling experiences of in the tourism.
Okay, okay. Your experience is okay. Is it concentrated or focused on women folk, or is it in journal?
It is concentrated on solo female travelers, not all
Okay,
female travelers, but the,
okay,
women travelers who are traveling alone.
okay, okay, okay. So first of all, I would like to make a humble request to you this morning. Kindly change your opinion because travel and tourism and hospitality is not that harsh as somebody has given you the inputs about all of us. We are not that bad. We are bad. Fine, no problem. We accept it. But we are not that bad as I think somebody has injected into you. The world is changing, things are changing, and every girl is independent. They are becoming independent. They are moving forward very well, and we are proud of it. Only one thing can bring equality in the entire universe. जितने भी ऑडियंस देख रहे हैं, जिसका आंसर सबसे पहले ठीक आएगा, as a girl child or as a female, you get 1,000 rupees cash prize from the chamber right now. कौन बनेगा करोड़पति का पहला क्वेश्चन भी 1,000 रुपए का होता है. Anybody who can write from the audience, anybody who can write what is, प्राची क्वेश्चन क्या था?
The question was if how the travel experiences are and if the travel and tourism industry is actually harsh to women.
ओके ओके, थोड़ा क्वेश्चन मॉडिफाई कर देते हैं, थोड़ा सा क्वेश्चन मॉडिफाई कर देते हैं. ओके, डू यू थिंक that the tourism education or hospitality education, what it used to be before corona, it should go on same way, or you want some change in the syllabi and research also? Because any research what we do has to be relevant. It should not become obsolete by the time the PhD gets over. It should not become obsolescent. So that is something very important. तो जिसका suggestion अच्छा आएगा, what changes do we bring in our education ecosystem in hospitality and travel and tourism so that it remains relevant post pandemic? You keep writing your answer on the YouTube. जिसका correct answer होगा, because Prachi is doing research, so she will decide who gets 1,000 rupees. Okay. Now, coming to the next question. Tell something more about your company and your topic, what you have taken, and how are you feeling that what exactly is being done for the women folk. And of course, travel is very essential for everybody. Everybody should travel. And why not? Why not? The female folk, they should also travel. They should travel independently also. They should travel at their own also. It is not that all the time you should travel with the family only, and they should feel secured also. So सब कुछ अच्छा कैसे हो जिससे प्राची की थॉट प्रोसेस चेंज हो जाए कि संसार इतना बुरा नहीं है जितना मैं सोच रही हूं. आगे बताइए.
Sir, I would really like to disagree here with all due respect. This is, first of all, you used a statement that someone has injected these thoughts in me. No one has done that. When I say that travel and tourism industry has been harsh on us, that stemmed from my experiences with travel and tourism and 300 other women who have traveled across the world. I met them, I interviewed them, they shared their experiences with me, and this is not just about me. One thing, thank you so much for pointing this out, because I will take this opportunity to highlight that when I say that travel and tourism industry is harsh, I do not say that it is bad, it's terrible, it's horrible. No, it is not. I am not generalizing it, but what I am saying that कि अगर कोई चीज में कुछ बुरा है, तो हम ये नहीं कहते हैं कि वो कंप्लीट चीज ही बुरी है, बट हम ये कहते हैं कि सुनो, that part is bad. We don't ignore it and say no, it is not that bad. We identify the parts which need solution, and only the identification of that problems leads us to solutions. That is my humble disagreement with you, and I hope that is allowed here. And also, I would like to, point out another thing about when you mentioned that you decided to do your PhD in tourism because at that point of time, it wasn't required to study. Right now, there is a heck lot of study going on and a heck lot of, labor and sweat goes into doing PhD in any stream for that matter. And tourism is more complicated, tourism and hospitality, because this is one of those industry which changes overnight. Like one day you are talking about something, you will have to work very hard so that your work remains relevant after 2 years, and you don't just print your thesis, keep it on the shelf in your university, and you are done. You have to work really hard to get the PhD. And I really respect people who do PhD, because for me, they are the epitome of working hard with very late recognition. We don't really praise people for their research, which we do need to. Another thing, when you pointed out that the numbers of women and the number of women who has lost their jobs in tourism is it might give us a heart attack. Surprise for you, it won't, because we are researchers and we literally deal every day with numbers. And as you said, called me to highlight on what my company does. So I'd like to take some data from there. As World Women Tourism, we are a management consultancy based in Singapore, and our primary work revolves around accelerating and increasing the competency of women business owners and women who have, who are working in travel and hospitality industry. So coming from there and having managed webinars across Asia, listening to hundreds of women from those countries, from World Women Tourism, I have been virtually to Thailand, Indonesia, Bhutan, Myanmar. And from there, we have met hundreds and thousands of women who have lost their jobs. It is heartbreaking, but it didn't give me a heart attack, because I was approaching to it not as a number, but as a problem for which we can have a solution as a consultancy and as people working towards a more inclusive workforce. And when, going back to the question you had about the problems in tourism industry and the problems we are seeing as a women in travel industry, it is the major problem which I have identified among, it is not very prevalent in my life, but it is prevalent in all other women who are working in tourism and hospitality. And I read on the YouTube, a person has called out about the timing issue.
Nanlai from Meghalaya.
Okay, the time slot of working women is challenging.
Yeah.
That is actually two of the very important challenges which women have seen across the time that the travel industry has been around. And it has accelerated the impact of, pandemic on women. Because one thing is the unpaid care work. As our country is a very patriarchal country where men are supposed to be the breadwinners of the family in majority of the states, and women are supposed to take care of parents and family. That is the normal structure. I'm not generalizing it again, but it is a normal expected format of our family. So what happens that in travel and tourism industry, the work timings are very different. And that is where the challenges set in. Because no matter how and what time you are devoting on your work, you are expected to do the unpaid care work at home. You have your kids to attend to, you have your elderly parents, you have yourself, and you have to do, a work at home. So one reason why this expectation of our society of women to be the caregiver of the family resulted in job loss of majority of women in the travel and tourism industry across the world. And that was more dominant in case of travel and tourism industry because of the time factor. But unpaid care work was number one reason of why women dropped out of workforce, according to McKinsey report. On McKinsey released a gender report earlier this year. I think somewhere it was in March or April. It was somewhere around that. McKinsey report says that unpaid care work led even women in leadership positions across tech companies, across consultancies, decided to drop out of their workforce because they had a lot of mental stress resulting from this expected unpaid work. So I think that are the two primary challenges which accelerated the impact of pandemic on women. And that is why I do not know whether the audience here or you have heard about a word called C-session, which was a wordplay on the word recession, which happened in 2008, and people, lost their jobs. So pandemic this time came as a C-session because the majority of jobs which were lost in the pandemic were of women, and especially women of color, if we talk on a global scale. So I think pandemic was definitely, as Anita pointed out, it was gender neutral because it impacted, everyone. Anyone could contract it. But at the same time, I also want to add to the point that it was definitely gender neutral when it came to contracting the disease itself. But when we measure the impact of the pandemic, it was very, very, very unequal and unjustified to women and non-binary people. And there are enough statistics to support me on that. And I'm sure Anita will agree because I am super, super sure that she is very well aware of these statistics of how unfair advantage and unfair disadvantage of the pandemic happened on women and women of color. And when it comes to travel and tourism industry, it wasn't very surprising because we came to a full stop. Even other industries, they cut down their workforce, they cut down, they decreased in size, but we were like a complete shutdown. The number of companies which were shut down in hospitality and tourism industry, it was more than any other industry, any other sector, because there was literally no income coming. So that the pandemic had very large differential impact on women in terms of job creation or in terms of, retaining their jobs, even on a lesser pay. I'm not even talking about one which didn't get the pay. So that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your valuable inputs. So you are of the point, and your research shows that ladies have not lost the job in travel and tourism and in hospitality during this pandemic?
No. It's exactly the opposite.
It's opposite. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So you support that the women folk have lost more jobs as compared to male folk. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Secondly, because it's but natural that travel and tourism and hospitality is the most sensitive industry. It's a people industry. Unless you don't travel, you don't have a tourism activity. Unless you don't go and eat outside or stay outside. And most of the hotels are surviving on the banquets and parties and events and MICE industry, what we talk about. So that when you take into consideration, I think it was the most volatile. But what I was expecting was that some hand holding should have been done for this industry vis-a-vis like it has been done for other professions. That's what basically is the outcome, which we wanted to have on that. Now coming to Anita ji, and then I'll come to Prachi again. Anita ji, my concern is only one. Post-pandemic, a lot of children are going to drop out from their education. A lot of children. And secondly, my question comes when I talk to Sir Ken Robinson, to whom we lost during in pandemic, and Dr. Sugata Mitra. What is the purpose of education? What is the purpose of education? Why do we take formal education? When the corporate sector and the industry is telling the people, those are being churned out from the colleges and institutions, are theoretical. They are of no use to us. We got to skill them. We got to reskill them. We got to upskill them. We got to give them all practical part of it. And during this pandemic, education has become more accountable. It has become more transparent. Parents are sitting next to the children, next to the computers, and they are watching what is being taught, which way it is being taught. Is it relevant? मेरा क्वेश्चन एक ही है आपसे अनीता जी, अगर आप कोई सोल्यूशन दे सकते हैं तो मुझे लगेगा आज का वेबिनार किसी काम का है हमारा, आज सुबह का। आप मुझे ये बताइए कि इस समय जिन बच्चों के पास पॉकेट मनी भी नहीं है और जिनका जॉब चला गया है, जिनका काम चला गया है, मैं उनके लिए क्या करूं? Because mere organizing a webinar by Major Dr. Gulshan Sharma is not going to give a bread to anybody. And people, those are intact and those are getting some money and all that, they cannot feel the pain and the pinch because I am on the ground. And during this entire pandemic, we have been distributing the dry rations. We have been giving the food to so many people. Even if you go out of the hospitals, the people, those are bringing their relatives to the hospitals. They are looking forward to, and I have seen very, very respectable people. मेरे खुद के दोस्त मुझे कह रहे हैं, तुम यार 2000 रुपए का वाउचर मेरे से ले लो, 5000 रुपए का खाना ले लो, लेकिन यार मेरा बिजनेस किसी तरीके से चला दो, मुझे बचा दो किसी तरीके से। सो मुझे ये बताइए कि इस समय मैं बच्चों को पॉकेट मनी कैसे दिलवाऊं, जो बच्चे इंटर्नशिप में हैं, जिनको जॉब मिलना था या जिनका जॉब चला गया। Some thought process, if you have got practical with you, if you can give me some idea, maybe sometimes some bright idea comes up in the morning. Because a lot of youngsters are watching this particular program. 80% are youngsters and they all are from the travel and tourism background. They are watching it very carefully, what all we are deliberating. So आप मुझे कोई solution बताइए.
Sir, again, I would like to thank you for this question, which is a very pertaining question. And I would also like to first, before answering this question, which Prachi mentioned about, praising for researchers and their journeys has never been done. So I would like to share here on this platform that we at Inkpothub has created this platform only to celebrate and share the journeys of researchers and scholars.
As a tourism journalist, I had to extract maximum out of her. That's why I coaxed her. I had to take out maximum out of her. You have seen how the journalists work onto the television. So I wanted to have the best of her potential for this webinar, and people will be happy about that because she spoke her heart. She gave some dimension. She gave some input. So we wanted to have the best of what exactly she is doing and what she has done. Please go ahead.
Okay, so now I'll come back to your question. What is education, why it is required, and what are the requirements? So,
बच्चों की pocket money.
बच्चों की pocket money. Very interesting question you have. Sir, इसको थोड़ा सा मैं और deeply समझने की कोशिश करती हूँ कि how it has impacted us in general, because Corona has come and it has changed the way we saw our lives. It has completely changed the thought process and mindsets. So now the situation is such kind of conditions we are not experiencing for the first time. It is just that because we got a platform wherein we can share, we can express our feelings around what we are experiencing. So that's why the information and inputs are coming so deeply and so, these are so engaging conversations. If I remember data from the World War II and World War I, we have lost more than 2 crore people during those days as well. So, and then humans are resilient people. So what happens is, in these kind of bad situations, we always bounce back and we always reflect the best in us. So coming back to your question in terms of education and pocket money of children, um, in last 1.5 years or maybe 2 years of my entrepreneurial journey, what I've seen is that all those kids who are getting in touch with me, I have seen a lack of attitude towards having skill development. And we are promoting and we are calling of people that learn skill, ye karo, upskill karo, reskill karo, fir se padho. And then we all are waiting for some more positive day in our lives, that कोई एक ऐसा दिन आएगा जिस दिन हमें नौकरियां मिल जाएंगी. ऐसा नहीं होएगा. एंड नौकरियां हमेशा उन्हीं लोगों को आज तक मिलती आई हैं जो अपने लिए कोई डेवलप करते, कोई स्किल डेवलप करते, या कोई एटीट्यूड डेवलप करते, या कुछ ऐसा चीज डेवलप करते खुद के लिए जो जो उनको जॉब दिला सके या सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट की तरफ मोटिवेट कर सके. So this is a phase which we all are experiencing, and this will definitely pass soon. In the meanwhile, we have this internet, this facility. I request all the students, all the kids. There are so many freelancing platforms. There are so many internships which are available. I have internships on my own company. So I'll give you an example here. LinkedIn Pay, we posted 3 job profiles of paid internship and unpaid internship. People are ready to get, they want paid internships. बट देन जब उनसे पूछा जाता है कि ये काम कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते हैं, कोई प्री टास्क दिया जाता है, out of 40 applications for one job role, only one candidate come up with the pre-task which was given to them. I am going to pay to them. And then I also want them to understand that this requires certain skills. And if they have to learn, they have to at least showcase that attitude to learn, like they are ready to learn as well. But they are not even showcasing that. So I have a counterintuitive thought on that, because I'm sitting from the employer side and talking about from an employer side. So kids are responsible for their own pocket money. Their parents are not after a certain point in time. Their parents can only give up till say they're 15 years of age or 16 years of age. After that, they are responsible. And I've seen a couple of children who are doing remarkable jobs, and they are finding ways and means to get their own pocket monies. And there, this time, because of internet, there are so many things which kids can do. They can learn investment online. They can, with their minimum zerodha is there. They can learn how to invest. They can also learn freelancing activities. They can learn about affiliate marketing programs. They can read and write reviews, and ultimately they get paid from Google AdWords and Google AdSense. So these are certain platforms they can learn and start earning. And I have seen many people who are doing that. Considering your own the things which you are doing, I would request you to come up with those solutions wherein small modules for people who are looking for pocket money. Pocket money means not some amount, not a salary kind of thing wherein they have to run their houses, but then small amount to run their interest areas. So all these interesting skill-based training you can do at your end, because you are working around it, creating solutions for employment generation or skill development. So all those, there are so many online courses available. They can learn from them. There is Coursera, there is upskilling platforms. So they can definitely do and start preparing their profiles on LinkedIn, search internships on LinkedIn or internshala or siksha.com, wherein they can find out suitable internships and do multiple internships. So one is like learning course online and then implementing it through internship, making their profiles, and then get ready for market scenarios wherein these skills are required in terms of jobs and more financial independence. So that's what my suggestion to your organization, wherein just focus on those skills which can help them earn pocket money, not then seek pocket money from their parents.
Okay. So that change which was there in the Europe, United States, Canada, other countries already, children at the age of 13 and 14 start working part-time. They start earning their pocket money. And over here in India, children are pampered. They are given, नहीं नहीं तुम पढ़ो, तुम कोई चिंता मत करो, हम सब कर लेंगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, तुम सिर्फ 99% मार्क्स लेके आओ और कोई चीज का जरूरत नहीं है, ताकि तुम्हारा एडमिशन आईआईटी में हो जाए या आईआईएम में हो जाए या कहीं और हो जाए, और उसके लिए आप लेके चलो. Anyway,
सर
sooner come
उसके
better
लिए
it is, the
उसके
thought
लिए एक
process.
और
हाँ
चीज है
जी.
कि इट्स ऑल अबाउट माइंडसेट एंड थॉट प्रोसेस बिकॉज पेरेंट्स आर आल्सो a part of their own communities and the way their success factors are governed. So one of the governance of their success factors is around the success of their kids. So and that is related to their marks or their education background, from where they are going to, which school they are going and attending to. So a lot of are coming from our social structures, and this is not going to change overnight. But then in another 10-15 years, you will see a stark difference. I'm hopeful, and I'm very much, having a positive attitude towards it, that it will change soon.
Wonderful. Social structure, social changes. 15 years is too long a time. Please, I'm in a great hurry. I cannot give 15 years for that, because two things are very important today. The corporate has told, we don't need this theoretical education, and we don't need this people, this stuff which is coming out of these institutions being churned out. It is of no use to me. And once again, I would say maybe biologically little bit more ahead of both of you in age, and a little bit more in travel. Most of the research which is happening, it's theoretical, it's not practical, it's all lying in the shelf, it's not reaching out to the right people at the right time, and it is it is not helping the masses. It's helping only the classes or segments and some people. So it's good that Prachi is focusing on entire women folk for the whole world, for the travel and tourism, and their organization is doing that. Let's come to that brass track now. What do you suggest should be done in travel and tourism industry so that the women can travel freely, they can travel without hesitation, and there can be a new thought process? और मुकेश का गाना, राज कपूर का, वो सुबह कभी तो आएगी, और उसके अंदर प्राची, everybody is traveling safely, nicely, diligently, without any difficulty, without any hassle, without any problem, without any inhibitions, without any pre-notions or preconceived ideas. आप बताइए कि क्या करना चाहिए और कहां से स्टार्ट करें और कैसे चलें? And then
Thank
we
you.
will close the session. Yes.
Thank you so much for that question. मैं बहुत देर से इस सवाल का इंतजार कर रही थी कि
Sure.
आप पूछेंगे कि क्या कर सकते हैं हम, क्योंकि क्या कर चुके हैं वो तो हमने डिस्कस कर ही लिया है. Thank you so much for that question. And let's begin with a fact कि continuation from what Anita said, that it doesn't happen overnight, nor we should expect it like that. क्योंकि हमारी जो सोच आज है वो बनने में हमें हजारों साल लगे हैं. मेरे पापा जो आज सोचते हैं, एक्सक्यूज मी वन, हम जो आज सोचते हैं, थैंक यू फॉर दैट पॉज, आई वाज अलाउड टू टेक. हम जो आज सोचते हैं, मेरे माँ बाप आज 50 और 60 साल के हैं, उनकी जो आज सोच है वो 50 साल लगे हैं बनने में, वो 60 साल लगे हैं बनने में. आज हमें उन्हें कुछ कह दे, अपने ही माँ बाप की मैं बात कर रही हूँ, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट एवरीवन एल्स हियर, बट वो एक दिन में नहीं बदलेगी. But yes, I am proud of my parents that they have decided to work towards changing, and that is exactly the thing I think travel and tourism industry should do. Try to work towards a change. And the first thing which begins is exactly what I do. My PhD on, my research, my PhD focuses on diversity training. Joki, it is a specialized training which is given to travel and tourism workers to be more acceptable of differences of gender, differences of ability, differences of neurodiversity, and all the other visible and invisible differences. So I think travel and tourism industry needs to have a very strong infrastructure of diversity training. Right now, even if you go in luxury hospitality chains, although my research doesn't deal with that, even if you go in luxury hospitality chains, the rules and regulations are very standard and they don't talk about inclusion a lot. They have a certain set of rules and regulations which talks about how to behave with guests, but why to behave with which guest and how, the differences, the training about differences is not given. Now coming back to the topic I am on, and my research mainly deals with accommodation, which is budget, because 90-80% of women right now who travel alone or even with family take resort in the budget accommodations. We don't look for 5-star hotels. Majority of us travel in a decent stay, which is in academic language is called a budget accommodation. So the training of budget accommodation staff is very scattered. It's not structured. And I think, as you were pointing out, that we need to have a structural change. So I think what government can do here and what governing bodies in tourism can do here is to have a training module, some kind of certification or some kind of regulation that, okay, you need to have this kind of training at your workplace, so that people traveling at staying at your hotel or traveling with you as tour guide can feel more safe, more comfortable, and more accepted. And that is number one suggestion. And second suggestion is that we need to get rid of the mindset कि ऐसा ही होता चला आया है. बहुत बढ़िया बात है, होता चला आया है, इसका कभी ये मतलब नहीं है कि यही होते चले जाना चाहिए. We need to take a pause, and pandemic gave us that much required pause कि जो हो रहा था वो गलत हो रहा था. अब ये ब्रेक में लाए. The full stop we had in travel and tourism was the much required full stop we needed to write the next sentence. Across the world, I'm having conversations with a lot of people working in different countries, working on different levels, attending to different, kind of guests. And this is one thing I emphasize always on. The pandemic gave you a second choice. Make sure you write the next chapter in a new verse. You don't write it all over from, just as you wrote the first chapter, where there were no, safe spaces, comfortable spaces for women, for people of differences, for, people who don't look like the majority. I'm not even talking about differences which are not visible. If I was a Muslim girl here wearing a niqab, people would be judging me more harshly than they already do. Why? Because, I don't know, perceptions of people. So people who are visibly and invisibly different, we need to take a pause and understand that travel is about freedom. Travel is about liberation. Unless I'm feeling free on my travel is meaningless. And who is a participant in making it meaningless? You, me, and everyone else who I meet on my travel. So now is the time to take, conscious, mindful, and wellness efforts. As you were talking about, you're going to focus on wellness in the evening. And so it is about preserving the wellness of your guests as a travel host, as a tour guide, as a tour operator, and all other participants, that we allow women and people with differences to be themselves, to treat them the way they want to be treated, not the way we know how to treat them. A lot of women I have talked about what ruined their travel experiences. They told me that the extra attention which they receive, are you okay? Are you doing fine? Are you sure you are doing fine? Aapke saath koi nahi aaya? No, it's time to take a break. We need to understand that extra care can be suffocating. It is not required all the time. Yes, okay, fine. It's very good to ask that, okay, are you doing fine? But continuously asking that 10 times in a day, are you sure you're okay? If I'd not be okay, allow me to ask for help, but don't bother me asking that, okay, if I'm safe. No, please don't. Please allow us the space of being ourselves. And I'm here talking as a representative of every woman who has ever traveled, and everyone who has, traveled alone, every lady who has traveled alone with or without disability, with or without color differences, with or without identity differences, and with or without differences which are visible or not visible. Allow us to be ourselves and don't suffocate us with too much care, unwanted one. So that's it. That's what I want to say. And I think that is the biggest step travel and tourism industry can take as a whole to make it more comfortable for me and for everyone else.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. That's a quite valuable input for all of us, what she has given. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we close the session, because it was basically the travel for women empowerment, that was the basic note what we wanted to take on today and we wanted to deliberate on. And I go back to the same question once again. Women got to be partner in every field in India if India wants to be a 5 trillion economy. If we have a dream that India should come up, India should rise, India should develop, India should move ahead, and India should come to the main top block, then I think women got to be a partner in every field. Coming to travel, tourism, hospitality, holiday and leisure, and that industry when I talk about, I still recall something very interesting what Prachi has mentioned. We get certain sanskars, sanskriti, and values from our parents, the way we have been brought up in our families. 1974, not to name a country, that will be too harsh on my part. I was traveling in one of the buses in Europe, and in that country, a lady had come. She was standing over there. So, as it happens in India, I stood from my seat and I told her, "Ma'am, you kindly sit." She told, "Why?" I said, "Ma'am, we offered the seat to you." She says, "I'm physically fit. I don't require to sit. Why are you offering me this seat?" I was so embarrassed in 1974. And that day I realized that your norms are your norms, whether they are acceptable universally or not. But well, all the people are not same. Some people can be harsh. Might be she had a fight at home and she took out the burst on me only as a projectile at that point of time in that bus. You do not know what situation the person is in or something. And sometime your good gestures, your hospitality, because earlier it was called something very interesting, customer care. Then term came customer delight. And then now when I teach in America or Canada or Australia, people use a term over there, amazing the customer. That means something which customer was not expecting as a part of the package, but you are offering in your package. Now, over here, you could be misunderstood also because extra care can be suffocating. That is a sentence which has come from Madam Prachi Thakur. And, this is quite open to all of you. You can work out. Might be, I will invite one particular panel discussion with the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Skill Development, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Culture, and Ministry of Women and Child Development, which we should have. Is extra care suffocating? That is the title I'm taking today. Is the extra care suffocating? We will soon have deliberations on this topic, and then we would like to move on to that. Ma'am, okay, special gesture if you want, but otherwise we wanted to close the session. Please go ahead.
Just I'll take 2 minutes. Definitely it is suffocating because these extra care and comfortable zones are limiting the exposure and experiments with our own lives and identities and experiments. We also want to learn by our own mistakes. I don't want to learn by somebody else's mistake because I may not have traveled the same path. So my path is altogether different. So let me enjoy, let me learn from my own mistakes and these kind of things. One more point which I would like to add here, sir, which is around there are 3 crore people in India who are disabled. So I'm again pointing out this word disabled because that is something which I am supposed to be called as. So and all these 3 crore people are also supposed to be called as disabled only because these differently abled, specially abled are the words which others are using for us, but not we are kind of very much interested into listening to be called as specially abled or disabled all the time. Anyways, so these are based on needs and requirements. So When we talk about travel and tourism, also consider in terms of accessibility, in terms of what is this Sugamma Bharat Abhiyan, because now we have just pointed out like what government is supposed to be doing. So I am now questioning here the first thing around the Abhiyan which the government has started, and I do not know the impact and outcome of that Abhiyan, Sugamma Bharat Abhiyan, which was designed for people with disabilities in India. If I may request here, if you speak with the ministry and you have an opportunity to speak with them, so please ask this question: what is the outcome and impact of this Sugamma Bharat Abhiyan? Because there was an accessibility app, Inclusion India, and all. I have no idea what exactly is happening around it. So I would request you to please take it forward. Thank you so much for
Sure.
listening to me patiently in the
No,
last minute of winding up.
no, no. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I will put you across to a lady called Madam Sukhpreet Garcha.
Yeah,
She's leading a lot of platforms for the specially able children, and she's doing a lot of work on that. We had a program the other day. We will work on that. Now, ladies and
certainly.
gentlemen, those are into services sector. Those are into service industry, and those are into different segments of service industry. I'm not talking about travel and tourism alone, or I'm talking about hospitality. We will take on, there are 52 segments for your information. Those become a part of services sector, and Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India has taken 12 segments as identified, and our chamber had taken up with the Ministry of MSME, micro, small, and the medium enterprise. And 13th of May 2020 is a historic day for our chamber. 3.5 year, 3.5 year, our chamber was moving up and down in the corridor with the strategy plan, action plan, road map, blueprint, whatsoever you name you want to give it. Because today we talk about McKinsey, we talk about PricewaterhouseCoopers, we talk about Ernest and Young, we talk about other foreign companies. There are a lot of people in India, those are doing great job. They are doing wonderful job in India. I wish to share in this platform that next year we are going to have 75 years of India's independence. Next year, India has got, and that celebrations will start from 15th of August 2021 onwards up to 15th August 2022. Our chamber has taken the mandate. I wish to share with all of you so that you will get an idea and we all will be on the common frequency. If you just get the idea over here, making education relevant, teacher and youth empowerment with the vocational skills and entrepreneurship. And do you know what exactly is there? Revival of tourism, domestic tourism, wellness tourism, herbal tourism, cinematic tourism, spiritual tourism, eco-tourism, rural tourism, agri-tourism, village tourism, youth tourism, sports tourism, Buddhist pilgrimage facilitation tourism, heritage tourism, border tourism, and there are about 145 areas. We are also developing an action plan when India comes with 100 years of celebrations, that is in 2047. Our chamber is already working in that direction as well. When I talk on this particular subject, I have dissolved and dedicated my whole life to this. And there are so many things to learn because there are so many parameters, qualitative and quantitative, when I'm taking into consideration the temperaments and the economic background, when I'm taking into consideration the belief, the faith, and the tribals, when I'm taking into consideration. And imagine, with so much of art, craft, culture, cuisine, values, heritage, dances, music, this all is coming from within. When I talk about India, you need not, you don't need any PPT, or you don't need any documentation, you don't need any paper. It should all come from within. Tourism, tourism per se cannot be taught as a subject. Tourism is an experience. Tourism is your life experience. Tourism is what you feel from inside. Do you want to go to that place again or not? Do you want to meet those people once again or not? Do you really enjoy traveling or not? Everybody is different. Everybody has got different temperament. And today, there is one more service which India has to do. People are aging world over. Population is aging. India got to move out. You got to help those elderly, those don't have children, and they have to be taken care of. With these words, ladies and gentlemen, special gratitudes and thanks to Dr. Anita Sharma ji and Madam Prachi Thakur. It was a pleasure. And deep thanks and special thanks to Colonel Casey Manon for this particular session. And we will have one program in the month of August itself. I will get about 8 to 10 panelists together. Is the extra care suffocating? That will be the title of the topic, and we will take on. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure to have. Namaskar.